London, England, Season 5. The European Poker Tour's strongest ever field took to the tables. All eyes were firmly on the task ahead. But 588 of the 596 faltered. And now, only 8 remain. Hello and welcome to the PokerStars.com European Poker Tour, where today the Victoria Casino in London plays host to the final table with £1 million up for grabs.
One of the most star-studded fields in European Poker Tour history has been whittled down to the 8 players sat here at this table. There's not an EPT trophy among them yet, but for 3 of them, they've been close enough to a title to taste it.
In seat 1, it's the USA's Eric Liu, who's sitting second in chips.
I feel pretty confident in my game. Yesterday I went in there and did my thing and turned out well. But this tournament really is anyone's game. There's a lot of good players remaining, and just hoping to play well. And if I run good, I run good. If I run bad, I run bad.
This is Johannes Strassman's second visit to an EPT final table and the 5th time he's cashed.
Basically, as long as I have any chip, I'm in a position to win.
Canada's Philip Dotai is an experienced online player playing in only his 2nd big live tourney. Anthony Lelouch loves London. He finished 6th here last year. Sweden's Michael Tereniak is the chip leader in seat 5. Alan Smurfett plays it tight and has the pedigree. He won a WSOP bracelet in 2007. Poland's Marcin Horecki is the table short stack in seat 7. And completing our final table is Michael Martin, who finished 5th in the Season 4 Monte Carlo Grand Final. 8 players all vying for the title and a cool £1 million first prize. Who will it be? Let's get straight over to the final table and find out.
For 31 years, I've been Colin Murray. For 29, he's been Greg Raymer. That's 60 years of life experience commentating on this final table here on the London EPT. And Greg Raymer, I remember the EPT in Monte Carlo Grand Final, Series 1. And the prize pool, the top prize, was just below €1 million. Here we are with a cool £1 million top prize. That's not hype, my friend. That is a serious, serious poker tournament.
Well, there's been a lot of growth in poker in the last 5 years, that's for sure. I didn't realize I changed my name, though, when I was 15.
Did you?
You said 29 years for me.
Yeah.
I think I've blanked that part of my... I must have had some horrible experiences as a child that I've just blanked out of my recollection.
You've aged like a fine malt whiskey. Detoy, Ace King.
Big hand.
And now we're down to the final 8. It's all about winning this tournament. It's about getting stuck in. There's no nervous bubbles now. Let's do it. 80,000's the raise. That's about right.
4 and looks like 2 4s. It's hard to tell.
Yep. Well, Lelouch get busy.
Well, you know, he's one of our biggest stacks, and he's got Detoy very much covered. And he knows if he re-raises that Detoy's going to have to fold lots of hands. But if he gets called, if he raises and gets called, he knows he's not in good shape.
I'm all in.
Detoy's got about $500,000 chips. Lelouch pushes all in with pocket 4s. He's been sitting on about $1 million chips for so long now. He's pushed them in.
Nice first time.
He's got a call.
These guys are not shying away from the action. One hand, and we're into it. All in already.
We need to see a king or an ace, or we're going to be down to 7 players.
Come on! Anthony is still leading with
the Canadian looking to save his bacon on the turn card. Let's have a look at 4th Street. That's not a help either.
Flush draw.
Although the flush draw comes out. On saying that.
Any ace, any king, any club.
He's still favourite to go home. Oh, he's hit the flush. Speechless.
The runner.
Oh. Lelouch will feel that in the pit of his stomach. It was a coin toss at the start, but after that first card came down, we were expecting to see an early casualty. It hasn't happened.
Well, and instead of becoming the massive chip leader, Lelouch is now one of the short stacks.
Lelouch sitting with about 1 million chips for quite a while now, even when we had 9 players. Well, not anymore. And that's a big hand for du Toit. He's just toyed with Lelouch's stack.
Bad start for Lelouch, then left with only 543,000 chips after the first hand, and it only got worse for the Frenchman. Within just 10 hands, he was eliminated in 8th position. Picking up his 5th EPT check, this time for £81,500. The next 18 hands saw Eric Liu improve his situation, all the while Michael Martin fell to a vulnerable position at the bottom of the table. We rejoin the action in the 29th hand of our final table.
Lelouch let loose, down to 7 now. It won't be as crass as to ask you who you think's going to win, because it can all change in one hand, Greg Raymer. But I just, throughout the whole tournament, I've liked Eric Liu. I think the luck's been with him. He's played with great skill. He's played with reserve and aggressiveness when he's needed it. And he's having a very good weekend.
Well, Eric's a very talented player, and he's got the chip lead now, so he's clearly the favorite at this point to win the tournament. Ace Queen, that's a nice hand from Marcin. He should be playing this for sure. Question is, how does he want to do it?
Heretsky. I should probably say here, for the sake of fairness, that Greg Raymer is a friend of Marcin and will be watching out for any partisan commentary.
Well, if it happens, so be it. You deal with it. I'm not going to change.
As if I won't be cheering on Alan Smurfett.
I like Alan, too. I've actually known Alan a lot longer.
Over to the blinds now.
Met Alan back at the very first EPT Monte Carlo. Wonderful gentleman.
He's a stalwart, all right. King Jack unsuited for Eric Liu, who we've talked about at length. He's in the small blind. He'll love that in the small blind. And it's not such a raise by Heretsky that he needs to worry, so he'll probably put those chips in, obviously, as chip leader.
Eric's going to make the call.
He'll have a look at the flop. Let's see what the big blind is. 3-4 offsuit by the looks of it. They'll get folded. That's a big blind gone for Strassman, I'd imagine.
I think I'd rather play the 3-4 offsuit than the King Jack offsuit here, especially with Marcin being the raiser. He's likely to have 2 big cards, and he could easily have the King Jack dominated.
So Strassman would be thinking in terms of pot value. Well, if I hit my flop, I hit my flop. If I don't, I can get away easy.
Exactly. It's an easier hand to play well after the flop.
Yeah.
Because you either hit it big or you miss it completely. You don't really hit it halfway very often. And if he only flops 1 pair, he's not going to consider it much of a hand.
It's a great little insight there. Well, it is a low flop, but is that low enough for Strassman to realise that he's in a good situation? Obviously, a queen would help Eric Liu. He's got that inside straight.
Well, that's the thing here. I mean, even though Strassman actually has the best hand right now, even though he's in the lead, he's going to just fold instantly to this bet. Exactly, because he can't play a pair of 4s after this flop, you know? Especially when he's in between. He's got Marcin behind him who might be holding a big overpair. This is the hard decision. Marcin knows he could have the best hand, but he also knows he could be crushed right now.
So does it come down now to reading the player? They've sat across from each other. They broke poker bread enough times.
Exactly. You got to play the man in this spot. You've got to decide what it is that Eric is capable of. And that's certainly the safe conservative play, and it's the one that you probably should make most of the time.
Wonderful stuff. Eric increases his chip lead.
Welcome back to the London leg of the PokerStars.com European Poker Tour Season 5. Now, aside from the main event, we've got another poker tournament happening here. The EPT's first ever high roller event, the £1 million Showdown. This prestigious lot didn't make it to the EPT final table, but they've all been given a second chance to play for a healthy first prize of £516,000.
But all eyes are on the final table here of the EPT main event in London. And I'd like to take this moment just to say that the Grosvenor Casino in London is a fantastically disciplined yet friendly casino room. And it's lovely for them to have us. It's my home poker room, and I've always found them fantastic.
I love the dealer's choice game there. Pot limit, dealer's choice, playing all kinds of fun games. 5-card pot limit.
I've only played Cards With You once, Greg, and that was a $100 sit-and-go 10-player in Monte Carlo. I don't want to talk about that result, because it still hurts the fossil man.
I was going to say, you probably outlasted me, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
How much more?
350.
Oh, dear. I've no dignity in victory. No dignity, Greg. I'll admit that.
He announces call.
Here we go. Hareski, again, is flying close to the wind.
Martin has queen jack.
Yeah, you know, he's not very far behind this time. It's not like when he cracked the aces.
Germany against Poland. Let's see how the flop comes down, but he is in trouble. Strassman opens up an inside straight. He doesn't even need to hit the inside straight. He's in the lead. We've got to see a jack or a queen fall for Hareski, or Greg's mate is going home. Okay.
6 outs.
Just over a 1 in 10 chance, roughly a 1 in 8 chance of staying in the tournament. Hareski, it looks like we've got a 7th place. We've already lost Lelouch. Oh, and Hareski's got lucky again. Every time shouts somebody from the crowd. And that's our commentary work done for us, because that sums up Hareski's luck so far.
Well, 4 times, but, you know, if he plays the hand bad and gets lucky, it's completely different than if you play it right, find yourself in a tough spot like that and get lucky anyways.
I'm so sick. It's 4th time I was side of the river. I can't ask for more.
Yes, 4 times he's got very lucky. This could be Hareki's tournament. Yesterday, he had the poker gods well in his favor when he was saved by the river against Eric Liu. Then he hit a miracle runner-runner against Johannes Strassman's aces.
It's a 9 of diamonds. Martin's going to double through.
Not long after, he hit runner-runner again against Christopher Walters for a flush.
Spades for a flush and a straight.
And just a moment ago, we saw Strassman on the receiving end yet again.
Good hand.
I'd like to run that good again. It's been a few years. We all get our days. If you play long enough, you'll always get your moment.
There was a couple of those suckouts, I'd have to say, on Marston's in Marston's defence, that he had no choice but to push his stack in.
Well, actually, I didn't see him make any real mistakes in any of those hands. And now we got Michael Martin, one of my fellow Americans, and he's going to risk it against Strassman, who found the best hand again.
Strassman claims to be an instinctive player. He says he goes with his gut a lot, and his gut's been just about bang on this whole tournament, Greg, from what we've seen. He has just got incredibly unlucky.
Oh, yeah, if Strassman's luck had broken even here in the last few tables of this tournament, he'd be the massive chip leader right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely, well said.
Flop is 5 of spades, queen of diamonds.
And unlucky again.
Well, that's why we love the game, but if you're Strassman in that seat, that's exactly why you hate it.
Let's see the turn card, please.
No good. 1 card away. 1 in 20 shot. He needs to hit one of those 2 jacks, if there's even 2 left in the deck.
Well, that's the only chance he's got. He's going to have to hit a lightning bolt or go home.
5 times now he's reached the top 10 in the EPT. Strassman is flying high in this tournament, but right now he'll feel lower than the Berlin Wall.
Take it down?
Yeah, you got it.
Take it down.
Close, but no Schnitzengruber. We're down to 6.
Johannes eliminated then in 7th, but Eric Liu goes from strength to strength. Story of the day, though, might be Marcin Harecki riding his luck to a 2nd place position. We rejoin the action at the start of hand 75.
Things can change very quickly in poker, but Smurfett and Detoy need a series of minor miracles.
Yeah, they're on complete fumes here. They got all in or fold, nothing else for them. Eric Liu with the huge lead. Marcin and both of our Michaels basically tied for 2nd, all 3 of them.
I don't want to tempt fate, because, you know, Alan could come back and win it, I suppose, as could Philippe, but it would take a massive, massive purple patch.
Well, to be honest, I mean, either one of those short stacks, if they just like double up twice, they're in 2nd place.
Yeah.
You know, they're right up there. And then they're one more double up away from being the chip leader themselves.
Blind, small blinds and antes means 105,000 chips in every pot before anything happens.
He's going to make the call in the small blind. Now we go to Michael for his option.
And he checks it. So we're literally going to have the old-fashioned, everyone folds around to the small blind. He calls it. Big blind checks it.
Deuce of spades.
Both
king of
players
clubs,
doing just
jack
fine
of
this
clubs.
hand. I mean, limping in with 7-4 spades, no problem. Martin checks his option with a pretty marginal hand as well, and he's hit a big flop, though. Two players seeing the flop, and you hit second pair, especially here blind versus blind, where both of them have weak hands.
But Saretsky, who makes the bet. A lot of this is, does Martin fancy it?
Michael's going to make the call.
He calls it. Let's take a look.
65,000.
Well, if I'm Michael Martin, I love it. I
Yeah.
think this is a great spot. I know that I'm ahead here 80%, 90% of the time.
Ace of clubs.
That's another
You got
over
deuce of
card,
spades,
though.
king
So
of
Martin now
clubs,
has
jack
to
of clubs,
take into
ace of
consideration if Fareski's sitting with a king or an ace rag, king rag, then he's going to lose his hands.
Well, and Marcin also could just be sitting here with a couple of clubs, and that's why he bit the flop. You know, instead of 7-4 spades, he could have 7-4 clubs and be playing it exactly the same way.
150,000.
Marcin has given Martin every opportunity to put him on a better hand than he has. As we know at the moment, he's literally got absolutely nothing. And he won't get anything. The only thing he could hit is a pair, and that's no good. So it's Martin's hand. But Fareski's played it very well. He's represented different cards that he doesn't have, and that's worked an absolute treat. Michael Martin folds out. Fareski takes the pot.
Well, it worked out well for Marcin, but I'm really not too thrilled with it. I mean, if you've got a hand like 7-4, why not bluff pre-flop rather than on the flop?
Well, let's see what a former EPT London winner thinks of this.
Victoria Corrin herself, a London EPT champion. Now, you've been at this place. You know exactly what it's like to sit at a final table and feel all of those nerves. What was it like for you, though? Because obviously, it was a bit more special for you than it is for some of these guys.
Well, this is my home casino. You know, for me, it was bizarre. I'm used to sitting in this room with a cup of tea and a cheese sandwich playing for about £100. Suddenly, I was in the same place I usually am, but we're playing for $500,000 first prize. The cameras are there. It's the EPT London. You know, I really thought I was dreaming. It felt like a dream. It was surreal. I was floating. I don't know if it's like that for those guys, but I haven't forgotten.
We're going to send you guys back to commentary. Thank you very much for talking to us.
I had a dream about you last night, Greg.
Well, I thought for sure you were going to say either Cara or Vicky.
Unfortunately not.
I'm a little disappointed you were thinking of me.
That's why the therapy starts next Tuesday.
Good for you. You need it, mate.
So Eric and Phil's going to push all in.
Small stack here. We talked about this. You just get decent cards and you throw them in. People might say 8-7 suited. He's pushing all in. Of course he is. There's 105,000 chips in before anything happens. This might be the best hand he gets in the next 10, and that'll be his last cards.
Well, the nice thing about this hand is that if he gets called by a hand just like this one, King Jack, he's in much better shape than if he had some kind of one big card, one little card hand.
Yeah.
So I would rather have suited connectors than like a weak ace or a weak king.
Mike announces call.
Well, not what DeToy wanted. He'd rather everyone just folded. Actually, this is a kind of a moderate call by Tereniak. I probably would have passed the King Jack here. Not so much because I would be worried that DeToy had a better hand, but because one of the guys in the blinds might find a better hand pretty often.
Yeah, he's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea there, yeah?
It looked like ace-king for a second, you know, and that's exactly why Tereniak might have folded here. It's a marginal call at best.
I gotcha.
As it is, it's just the two. Philippe is against the odds here to stay in this tournament.
Well, at least he looks like he's enjoying himself either way here.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
He's got a good attitude, and that's a big part of winning. Oh, he's probably not winning now. Oh, wait.
Two diamonds. So
two diamonds.
The flush draws on for Philippe DeToy. He's never made a final table. Sixth is a great position for him, but he wants to go further. And he's not going to do it unless he hits a diamond. He needs to hit a diamond on the river to stay in this tournament. Or the Tereniak is going to increase his stack. 695,000 chips. We talked about it earlier. It can all change. And DeToy is going to walk off some of that adrenaline that's pumping through his system over to his fan club. You can join that $9.99 plus postage and packing. He's still in this one. Let's take that watching. He stays in the tournament. Wonderful.
Those are some vigorous fans, I must say.
Well, they travel the world together. Little groups of players from various parts of the world. A Canadian contingent, a Swedish contingent.
Ah, there's my mate, Joe Hashem, 2005 World Series of Poker champion. I came close to winning that one.
Yeah.
Almost got the two in a row, but I'm glad Joe won because he's a wonderful man.
Where'd you finish in that one?
25th.
Fantastic.
So Mike, over to Alan.
I always tease Joe that if I hadn't gotten the bad beat by the other guy, that he wouldn't be champion.
You can see my therapist on the Wednesday. You've got to let it go. Okay, Smurfy's all in. He's got the shortest stack by far. Ace Rag is wonderful for him because it's as good as he's probably going to get in 8 chances.
Give me an ace.
Alan has ace-4 off suit, and Michael has jacks.
Now, this isn't as much of a fighting chance for Alan Smurfett, the self-made multi-billionaire. Forget about the money. It's about that trophy. It's about getting the Monte Carlo with a swagger in your step and a pumped-up chest. Smurfett will want a double 3, just like we've seen the other small stack doing the last time, but that's not going to happen.
Not very likely now.
He's
got to hit the runner straight. He needs a deuce and a 5 or a queen and a 10.
2 aces wouldn't even be enough, of course. That would full house Martin.
Ooh, that's one of them.
No, it's not going to happen.
4 outs here, any deuce.
It's not going to happen.
It's not likely, but 9% of the time it will happen.
Wow, we've seen some amazing things so far, and we're just not going to quite go over that bridge from sublime to ridiculous. Well, that's the end of the Irishman. I think he's played a really tight, a really solid game of poker here, Greg.
I would say solid is a better way to put it, because he showed that he could come out of his shell when he thought it was the right time to do so, and it just didn't work out on this occasion. He probably should have asked Marson to hold those cards for him until the river was dealt.
Let's hear from him.
Out in 6th place for £153,000 is Alan Smurfett. You've been grinding a short stack for quite a while in this tournament. It must be quite a difficult position to try to come back from.
Well, I tried my best. I pushed with the ace-4 and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I ran into 2 jacks, and that's poker.
It is poker. You know quite a lot about it as well, having a World Series of Poker bracelet with you.
Yeah.
And so what do you think of the guys at the table here? It's quite an aggressive table.
Yeah, it's been a good table. I had plenty of chances. The cards weren't coming my way today. I was struggling all the time, and it just didn't break my way.
Yeah. Whose way do you think it might break here? Obviously, I mean, Eric Liu looks quite strong, as does Michael Martin.
Eric is playing very, very well. I really fancy him to win it.
Okay. We're going to send you guys back to the commentary because there's stuff going on here on our final table.
There's no time to breathe. Philippe Dutoy is all in again. And I love his guts. He wants to win this tournament. It's first or out, and it could be out because his pocket eight's a good hand with 5 players sitting around this table. Heretsky, look at this change in fortune. He's got lucky, now he's getting the cards.
Well, he's going to have to avoid repaying the luck fairy, you might say, here, because he's in debt. But he is a big favorite here, 4-1.
Let's see if the luck fairy sprinkles his poker dust over the table.
Well, that's what Dutoy's hoping for, because he needs the luck now. He's played the hand perfectly, though. I mean, he was supposed to shove the 8s.
Okay, a rainbow flop it is, actually, so that takes away any chance of any flushes. Also takes away straight draws. That can't happen with the cards we've got. It's simple. He needs to see another fat lady.
Down to 2 outs and 1 card to come. You got to say that Heretsky's going to win this one.
It's gone.
He does. Marson's kings hold up, and that's it for Dutoy, who played really well here. He pushed when he had to.
When Heretsky's behind, the poker fairy visits. When he's ahead, the cards hold up.
4 players remaining then, and the next 24 hands saw some dramatic changes to the chip leaderboard. Eric Liu, dominant for so long, lost over half his chips, the main beneficiary being Sweden's Michael Tereniak, who now sits atop the chip count. Herecki's in second, and Michael Martin, a distant fourth, 100,000 chips to his name.
Wow. Look, I will bet you everything I have, which is not much in my pocket. It's about 33 euros. That we're about to lose one of your American friends very shortly.
Well, it seems quite likely, and I mean, Michael Martin can't really do anything here. He's got to play almost any 2 cards.
Let's see what he gets. Tereniak, 4-handed ace-7, big hand. On the button, just calls.
See, actually, he's just calling because he's inviting Marson. He wants the 3-way pot. He wants Heretsky to come in here with him so they can bully up on Michael Martin and ensure that he goes out this hand.
With so much money at stake as well, get him out 4th, you know you're guaranteed that 3rd place prize.
And this is coming out exactly how Tereniak intended. Michael Martin pushes in the 15,000, which is irrelevant. Marson has to call, and now they're going to check it down unless they hit a monster.
Michael Martin hasn't looked at his cards.
Oh, there he goes. He's showing them to us now, but
Wow.
not very well.
He didn't look. He had to call. As you said, it played itself. He had to call it. But that's wonderful. He's got the pocket eights. It puts him in a very, very strong position. So Michael Martin looks like he could triple through here. It still puts him so far behind.
It does, but, you know, it's better than losing.
So what does he not want to see here? Just an ace?
Ace or a queen.
An ace or a queen, okay. Oh, wow, he holds up with those eights. He just played them blind. He had no choice. It wasn't some sort of extravagant, arrogant move. He had to play them blind. It didn't matter.
The big blind was almost all of his stack anyways, so it's just blind luck.
Well, the big news here is that nobody's out until they're actually walking away from the table, and there is a small chance that Greg Raymer could be taking about 33 euros out of my pocket by the end of the day.
Why are you toting euros in London?
Amsterdam last weekend. I'm seeing a therapist about that as well. Michael Martin lives.
Welcome back to the very familiar nighttime skyline of beautiful London. This is the final of the second leg of the PokerStars.com European Poker Tour.
Mike under the gun now.
A 21-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 24-year-old, and Marcin Heretsky is the senior member of this table at 31.
Yeah, that used to be, you'd be 31 years old in the poker room and they'd call you the kid.
Yeah. Not anymore. Tereniak, King 7. Four-handed.
Yeah, 1.1.
Troniak's only 24? Wow, he looks a little older than that. I mean, not to be insulting to the man. I just mean he looks more like he's like 28, 29. You know, he looks like a man, not a boy.
You'd be more insulting that you think he's the 23-year-old. But he raises with that, King 7. Bear in mind at home if you're learning the game, we're at 4 players now. It's a big hand. Martin moves all in as he should do with pocket 9s four-handed. It's a monster. King 3 would probably have played at some stage, but Eric Lou would, you'd imagine, get rid of this.
300,000, 220.
Oh, yeah.
220,000 for Eric to call. He's going to pass.
Well, Michael Martin's gotten lucky once to run into that pair of 8s and triple up. Now he's run into a pair of 9s, and he's probably going to double up this hand.
2 black 9s.
We're talking about a man who had 100,000 chips. He'll now have increased that 7-fold if these 9s hold up, but it's not as clear-cut as that. By a 1 in 4 chance of going down. He didn't want to see that 7.
Oh.
He didn't want to see the king.
And the kings were so dead.
Mike has flopped top and bottom pair.
Well, listen, Tereniak did the right thing. Martin did the right thing, and there's 2 more cards to come.
7's full. Really doesn't change anything though, because a 9 will still make a bigger full house for Michael Martin.
Tereniak has a full house going in with King 7 unsuited, and he can still get beaten by a 9.
Wow.
One stressed but now relieved family there. I feel like we've just relived that hand in Casino Royale, the James Bond movie.
Second.
Yes, for you.
What a joke.
But let's make something very clear, Greg. He did the right thing.
100%.
And he didn't get lucky. It was just a very exciting roller coaster ride.
Well, actually, he was a huge favorite before the flop. I mean, he was very unlucky to get behind at all. All the kings were dead except for the one that came out.
You mentioned Michael Martin's poker fairy. I think more like the ghost of Hans Christian Andersen floating over him after that.
Well, actually, I'm thinking J.R.R. Tolkien. He writes better fairy tales, in my opinion.
Here we go again. Well, look, when your luck's in, your luck's in. When you're hot, you're hot. Martin's now got American Airlines in his hand.
All right.
He doesn't know how many chips he has, though. He hasn't had a chance to stack them up.
No messing about either. He's just went all in.
Well, it's the right decision anyways, given he still doesn't have a big stack.
Oh.
And after that last hand, people might be thinking adrenaline's kicking in.
I have my favorite hand,
He's feeling invincible. He might have made a slight mistake and pushed in with a smaller hand. As we know, it's the best pre-flop hand in poker.
Oh, well, that's still a pretty loose call by Tereniak. He doesn't think Michael has anything.
And Mike has Queen Jack offsuit.
I don't know. You know, these 2 players have locked onto each other, and it's a fatal attraction. Well, it will be for one of them. Queen Jack unsuited takes on the bullets. Martin had 100,000 chips. He's now about to have 1.5 million, unless something very strange happens, and it hasn't happened yet. It really is.
And it's not likely to happen here. 2 spades or queens and jacks. Nope, but he can get half. Ace or a 6. And Michael Tereniak gets half the pot.
It's a 9.
And it's not happened, so the aces do hold up, heads up. And Michael Martin is now officially back from the dead.
That's insane.
He's got like 25% of the chips now. He's right in the middle of it.
And more importantly, he's got momentum on his side as well. He'll feel invincible right now.
I almost limped.
He's every right to do so. Let's take a look at a bit more about Michael. 24, so he's obviously long in the tooth. He could double his tournament winnings in one go if he can hold out in this tournament.
And he's your kind of mate. Addicted to FIFA soccer?
I like Pro Evolution.
Eric first under the gun.
Oh, what a tournament. We've seen rivers beyond belief. And I'm sure it's not the last. Well, here's been a player, I think, who was consistent to tee until the final table, but maybe four-handed, may have went into his shell a little bit. Eric Liu is now pushing all in, over 1 million chips, and look, it's that man, Michael Martin, because he just hasn't doubled up enough.
See, and Eric's now the player who only has about 10 big blinds in his stack, and he has to either shove or fold. Michael Martin knows that this is the case, and so that's why this is a tough decision for him.
And Michael Martin is in a purple patch at the moment. He'll feel like every flop is going to come down in his favour. And four-handed, ace-9, wonderful. Wonderful.
Nah, I bet he's probably thinking like, I've worn my luck out here. I better have the best hand if I make this call.
I call.
He's called it. He's called it, so we've got another showdown.
He's not way ahead here. This is not much different than like pocket queens versus ace king.
Yeah.
It's about the same percentages.
Eric has the jack of spades and the 10
Just a couple of percent off that. You're absolutely right. So this is a real showdown, and this is the defining moment of this heat of the EPT in London, and it so far went the way of Michael Martin. Both Americans set to cancel one or the other out, and Eric Liu looks like it could be all over for him, and in fact I'm struggling to see. He needs a queen.
He needs a queen.
He needs a queen.
The ace doesn't actually change anything except that it wasn't a queen.
1 in 10 chance for Eric Liu. 9 in 10 chance that he'll be going home, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He may share the same playing home with Michael Martin, but if Michael's luck continues, he'll be the one flying club class, EPT style. Eric Liu goes. We now know first, second and third, and at this time yesterday we would never have predicted it.
The Michael Martin comeback continues, and over the next 19 hands he only gathered more steam. As we rejoin it, Martin now has over 4 million in chips.
With the blinds higher, Greg, and now being the big stack, Michael Martin's showed us that he can play with any amount of chips in front of him.
Oh yeah, I mean, we always knew that Michael Martin knew what he was doing. He just got very unlucky to drop so low, and then very lucky to come back so well.
Well, Heretsky's had his luck so far. He's got king 8 three-handed on the button. That's exactly what he needed to do, push all in.
100% correct play. Michael Martin makes 100% correct play to come in with the king jack, and he's got Marcin Heretsky dominated.
And why does Michael Martin push all in when the all in from Heretsky's only 670,000 chips? That's because he doesn't want to go three-handed here. He wants to go heads up with Heretsky and try and take him out, and he's favourites to do that. Let's call this one, Greg.
Well, we just need to see an 8. That's it. If we don't see an 8, Marcin Heretsky going home.
Let's see the turn card, please.
No back draws for him at all.
Oh, he's hit it.
Wow.
Heretsky's hit it. So what's any outs here for Martin? What are we looking at the moment? Just
he needs
a jack.
Just a jack.
Let's see the river card, please.
Any of those 3 jacks.
Oh,
wow. That's just amazing.
I have to honestly say, in terms of rivers at a final table, I have never seen so many stings in the tail at an EPT event. I feel emotionally drained.
The river card has changed the outcome almost every hand we've seen.
Time to lie down for me and Heretsky.
We're heads up here in London, and who would have thought the one-time short stack Michael Martin would be sat here with a 4-1 chip lead over Michael Tereniak after coming back from just over one big blind.
It wasn't a short stack. That's overestimating what he had. It's doing short stacks an injustice to say that's what he had.
Yeah, I mean, I've made comebacks from short stacks, but very seldom that short. Wow, this could be it.
No.
This could be it already.
I might need to lean on you here because...
Pair of sevens and an ace-jack? I mean, not surprising, really, because Tereniak himself at this point only had a little over 10 big blinds.
Michael Martin is a coin toss away. Slight favorite, actually. Oh, he's not anymore.
Not a favorite now.
Oh, right, okay. Thank goodness, because I did to quote a low. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I have a bit of a dicky ticker watching this.
Let's see the turn card, please. It's the king of
There we go.
clubs.
Oh, thank goodness me. We don't want to see a 7 here.
But the river has changed it every time, so
Yeah.
the 7 is probably coming.
It isn't
No,
there.
not this
Oh,
time.
fantastic. I'm kind of glad because I want to see these two players lock horns, and that tightens it up a little bit.
Quite a bit.
Tereniak is back in this. He's had that double three he's needed right in early on. Now we know we're in a situation where one hand can change the chip lead.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Martin had the 4-1 chip lead, more than a 4-1 chip lead. Now it's more like 2-1.
100,000 big blind. Small blind 50,000. They'll throw in the 10,000 antes. And that means very little at the moment given the size of the two stacks.
Queen deuce, not much of a hand.
He's going to make the call.
But he's going to call and try to see a flop cheap.
Queen two's not bad, heads up.
He's going to go ahead and
Well,
check his option.
as soon as you see a deuce in your hand, even heads up, it's still a weak hand.
It is the 4 of spades.
Well, that's a good
But he's
flop
hit
for
it.
him.
He has hit it.
He's hit his queen.
Mike's going to be first.
No diamonds on board, no straight draws available, so it's a straight up situation here. It's the ace and the 9 would have to come into play for Tereniak.
Tereniak is actually the one who slow played here, not raising pre-flop with his ace-9.
You're absolutely right. Ace-9 is colossal suited heads up. And he's allowed Martin to see that flop. Is that the first sign of a few cracks there for Tereniak?
Well, I mean, you can check hands like that sometimes, but your default play ought to be to raise.
Yeah.
Mike's going to make
See, and
the
now
call
that's
on
why,
100
because he has every reason to believe he has the best hand right now, and of course we know he's drawing close to dead, 3 outs.
The deuce of hearts.
And now he is drawn
4,
dead.
queen, 7,
So
deuce,
Tereniak
2 clubs on board.
will lose this
Mike's
hand.
going to check.
460,000 chips. Not massive in the scheme of things, but I think it's fair to say that Tereniak has not played this hand well.
I wouldn't say he didn't play it well, but he picked an alternative way of playing it that is kind of in the minority opinion. And right now he should be folding. He can only beat a stone cold bluff right now. And even if he's against a bluff, Michael Martin might hit one of his outs on the river.
I respect the
Michael bets out
fact
300,000.
that you know these guys and you give them the benefit of the doubt, Greg. But he shouldn't have checked in the big blind, I'm sorry. He's played it badly. And that's with all the respect in the world. Tereniak's here on merit.
Mike's going to make the call of 300,000.
See, I don't like that call. I do not like that call at one bit. You know, Michael Martin is either bluffing or he's got you beat.
And it's turned a $500,000 chip pot into more than $1 million.
Worst card in the deck. Worst card in the deck for Tereniak. He now hits second pair with the 9, and now he's almost certain to call the bet on the river, and I'd say he's correct to call this bet.
This is like a needless argument with your girlfriend, this hand. It's out of control. It should never have gotten this far.
No, it shouldn't have gotten this far. He should have folded on the flop or the turn. Tereniak should not have called the turn, and he maybe shouldn't have called the flop. But on the river, he should call, and it's going to cost him that much more.
And Martin has done a fantastic little nervous push-in with the chips as well. I really like that.
Michael bets
Dropping
out
chips and
600,
hands shaking. And that's the perfect size of bet.
655,000.
It's a good bet. It's definitely the right size. He's betting about, you know, between half and 2/3 of the pot.
I can't get away from the fact, from Tereniak's point of view,
Will I have a queen?
he'll kick himself because this hand shouldn't have happened. This hand should not have happened.
Well, like I said, the check pre-flop I don't mind, but if you don't hit the hand, you've disguised it, but now you've missed. You got to give it up at that point. It's not like it's pocket aces. There you don't need to improve. Ace-9, you have to improve.
And he, as you say, he has to call it because of the river. Michael Tereniak has just thrown away a whole load of chips on a hand that at various stages shouldn't have went any further. A really impressive player who's just had a wobbly moment, and it may cost him an EPT crown.
Michael's going to be first.
Wow.
Well, let's see if he can follow that up and play these next hands well. He still has plenty of room to recover. I mean, he's nowhere near as short as Michael Martin was, so we know it can happen.
There was people watching in the crowd at one stage who had as much chance of winning as Michael Martin. Well, 9-7 offsuit, and he's raised this on the button, on the small blind, heads up. Give me the thought process there of raising with a 9-7 offsuit.
9-7's a playable hand heads up, and so, you know, if you're going to play anything here in a heads up match, you often want to raise. I would have made this raise exactly like he did pretty much every time with this hand.
And Tereniak just calls. Should he have, with the ace in his hand, thought about pushing in?
He definitely should have thought about it, but again, he's disguising his hand, but he needs to avoid playing this hand when he misses.
Martin goes in with 9-7 offsuit. He's now got an open-ended straight draw, still behind at the moment, but his odds have increased significantly.
Well, he doesn't want to hit the top end. He doesn't want to hit the top end. He hit it, but he didn't want to hit this one.
Tereniak's hit, of course, the nut straight.
And this is the reason that you sometimes just flat call or check your option with ace high, because your opponent won't give you credit for it. So right now, Michael Martin is going to think that he has the best hand because Tereniak didn't re-raise him with the ace.
Michael's going to make the call of 220,000.
Of course he is.
So here's the whole difference. Tereniak's playing it right this time because he waited till he made the hand, and it's disguised. When he lost all those chips, he didn't make the hand, and he was still calling.
Mike checks.
Here's the question now, Greg. Will Martin just check this? He did. He was dubious enough. He was worried enough about the ace to check it, and that's a great check. And in many ways, a great read for Martin. The two sides of Tereniak, that's what we've just seen. But which side of him will win out as we're heads up?
Welcome back to the final of the London leg of Season 5's European Poker Tour. We're heads up and all the talk revolves around Michael Martin's amazing comeback. Can Sweden's Michael Tereniak stop him?
It's certainly a tournament not to predict, even at this stage.
Michael first.
60 and 120,000. Blinds are pretty huge. We've only got about 6 million chips in play here.
King 10 heads up, strong hands on the button on the small blind. How big's the raise going to be? I'd say 2.5 times the blind, probably.
No, just basically just doubled it up, which I think is perfect for heads up play. You do a minimum raise on the button. If your opponent has garbage, you can throw it away, and if he has a good hand and comes over the top, you can fold if you don't have a good hand yourself and lose less.
It's probably the right call by Tereniak. Yeah, you'll see a flop if he hits it.
To be honest, this is a hand I might just fold. I just really don't like these hands.
Well, if he hits it, he'll stay in. If he doesn't, he'll get out of it. And he hasn't hit it.
That should be the plan.
And that should be it over.
He's going to check over to Michael.
Tereniak checks, Martin bets, Tereniak folds, hand over. That's the way this should work. That's the way Tereniak has played the hand. Well, a check by Michael Martin. We will get to see another card.
He's going to risk the free card here to get some action.
Turn is 3 of spades.
But that Tereniak should be even more suspicious now. He should be able to get away from this easy enough. It's not going to happen.
Well, he knows if Michael Martin checks that flop that Michael has a garbage starting hand that's missed the flop, or he's got something pretty good. So making this bet is fine, but if Michael Martin does anything but fold right now, Tereniak should be done with the hand.
Yeah. And we've seen evidence that he won't be. That's what worries me. So Martin has called it. So Tereniak knows in his head that the only way to get out of this hand is to play the man. He knows he doesn't have the cards. The river, it should be even... Well, the river doesn't mean a huge amount. It means, I suppose, there's one less chance of him having the jack in his hand.
Well, you know, yeah, there's somewhat less chance that he has the jack. So in a sense, Martin's going to feel better that he has the best hand.
Yeah.
And this is where Treniak should shut down. He knows that Michael Martin has a hand. The only thing he's actually hoping right now is we do have 2 hearts and 2 spades at the turn.
Mike's gonna bet 600.
He's hoping that he can get him lay down an ace-high, a king-high hand that had a flush draw.
Let's put things into perspective. Michael Treniak's best placing so far is 413th. 413th in the 2007 World Series of Poker main event. So hats off to him. Absolutely hats off to him to have done what he's done, but a little bit of inexperience showing through now.
He might not be much of a heads-up player. I mean, I play a lot of heads-up poker online.
Michael calls.
Some people just don't play much of it.
Let's see, please.
And there he has to turn over his queen high.
Michael shows king 10 for a pair of 10s. Jackson 10s for the king.
Well played, Michael Martin.
I can't help but get the feeling, and you know, Michael Martin, if he knew I was saying this based on my commentary so far of predictions at this final table, he'd say, shut up, Colin. But I just can't see Michael Martin letting this one slip now.
Well, he seems to be the more experienced heads-up player, and he's got a big chip lead right now. I mean, a huge chip lead.
I can't figure it out tonight.
Even he doesn't believe how lucky he's been either. But in heads-up play, he hasn't been lucky. He's been the best player so far.
This has to be an all-in call. As soon as I saw these pocket 4s, I got the feeling in my stomach here, Greg.
Well, his opponent doesn't have enough chips for him to do anything else. If he's going to raise, it should be all in.
We're going to be a coin toss for the title here. Treniak, based on how he's played heads up, is easily going to call this, you know.
Well, I wouldn't say for that reason, but it's just king 9 is too strong of a hand heads up.
It's all in.
It's all in, and he's a small dog.
It's all in. Every chip. At the EPT in London, when we had every one of those tables playing and all of the hopefuls, every one of those chips is now in the middle. It's all up for grabs.
Well, 53% of the time, Michael Martin is our champion, and the other times, Treniak is tied. This is going to be, if Treniak comes back and catches the king or 9, they're going to be virtually tied in chips.
Massive moment.
Whoa!
Massive moment. Martin takes
He cannot
the 4.
win. Treniak cannot win, but a 5 will give him half the pot.
Mike's gonna need a 5 to split this pot. Otherwise, he's going to finish in second place here in London. Let's see
is one card away from an EPT title here in London, and that's exactly what he is. They call him Michael Martin. I'm not sure whether he has a poker nickname, but from now on it shall be Lazarus, because he has been raised from the dead, and God only knows how it happened. It means that much.
Winning any title is huge, and winning an event this big, the EPT London, and £1 million, so important to a poker player's career.
Michael Martin, thank you for the entertainment.
Massive congratulations to our newest champion, EPT Season 5, Michael Martin. Well done. You must feel amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And here, you've got your family behind you, your girlfriend behind you, such great support. You came back from less than 2 big blinds. It's like the most incredible comeback ever.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in poker. I had 95,000 when the blinds were 40,000 and 80,000. Yeah. And in 3 hands, I was at 1.4 million.
So an EPT title and £1 million from Michael Martin, proving that the old adage of a chip and a chair still holds true. It's been an unbelievable final table with dramatic hands and very experienced players showcasing their talents. So after 4 days of enthralling poker, 596 players were whittled down to just 1. American Michael Martin takes home his second ever EPT cash, a staggering £1 million this time, and that title of Season 5 London EPT champion. Next stop, Eastern Europe and the beautiful city of Prague. I'll see you there.